Imagine working two jobs and still worrying about rent. Now imagine that's not the exception, but the rule for millions. What keeps so many people trapped in a loop of paycheck to paycheck living, generation after generation? In the next 10 minutes, we'll strip this down to simple human terms. The invisible rules, mistakes, and systems that stack the deck. Stay with me, because the explanation is simpler than you think, but the consequences are huge.
Think of financial life like a bucket. If the bucket leaks faster than you can fill it, you never get ahead. Income is the water you pour in. Expenses, unexpected bills, and limited access to services are the leaks. Understanding which leaks are structural, not just bad luck, is the first step to understanding the cycle itself. I'll show you how those leaks operate and who fixed them in place.
Meet Maria. She's working two jobs, cares for her kids, and saves what she can. Her morning begins with a choice: pay for daycare or miss a shift and risk getting fired. A broken car, a surprise medical bill, or a landlord's demand can erase a month of careful planning. This composite story ties together everything we've talked about: jobs, health, housing, and the psychological weight of scarcity, showing why escape is so hard in practice. There's no single cure, but a mix of approaches can break the loop. Guaranteed basic services, healthcare, childcare, targeted cash transfers that give families breathing room, fairer taxation, affordable housing investments, and community banking to replace predatory lenders. Labor protections and predictable schedules, plus smarter benefits that phase out gradually, also reduce cliffs. I'll highlight examples where these interventions showed real results so you can see what works in practice.
So, what did we learn? Poverty isn't a personal failing. It's a system of policies, market realities, and daily shocks that reinforce each other. Solutions exist, but they require both smart policy and public will. If this resonated, share the video so others see the forces at work, and consider supporting local initiatives that increase stability for families in your community. Subscribe for more explainers that turn big problems into clear, actionable insights. And remember, understanding the cycle is the first step to changing it.
This isn't only about personal choices. History and policy built the landscape. Segregation, redlining, and unequal schooling didn't happen by accident. They were policy choices that still shape neighborhoods and wealth today. When a system denies home ownership or access to quality loans, it compounds for generations. Keep this in mind. We're talking about systems that shape daily life, not moral stories about individual willpower.
One job no longer guarantees stability. Contract work, fluctuating hours, and jobs without paid sick leave mean a single missed shift can mean missed rent. Employers often shift risks onto workers, so small shocks cascade into crisis. Later, I'll contrast that with jobs that build real security, so you can see how much of this is structural, not inevitable.
Education is supposed to be a ladder, but schools that are funded by property taxes create a feedback loop. Poor neighborhoods get underfunded schools, which limit opportunities, which lead to persistent poverty. Even when kids from low-income families do well, the cost to get there, tutoring, childcare, extra courses, often falls on families who can't afford it. This is how potential becomes unevenly distributed before careers even start. A single medical emergency can wipe out years of savings. High deductibles and surprise bills mean that health shocks aren't just health problems, they're financial disasters. Add chronic illnesses to the mix, and you get repeated drains on limited resources. You'll see how healthcare becomes a poverty multiplier, pushing families back into instability again and again. Where you live shapes opportunity. Transit access, grocery stores, safe streets, and social networks are all built into neighborhoods. Living in a high-cost area can eat most of a paycheck, while living in under-resourced areas can limit job prospects and schooling. Both traps are real, and both are part of the cycle. I'll explain how housing policy and market forces push people into corners with fewer escape routes.
When savings are thin, borrowing becomes survival. But short-term loans, payday lenders, and high-interest credit traps mean that borrowing to get by creates heavier burdens later. Imagine borrowing $500 today and facing a level of interest that makes paying it back almost impossible. That's the reality for many. Understanding how debt compounds helps explain why recovery often stalls instead of accelerating.
Stress changes decisions. Scarcity, the constant pressure of not having enough, narrows attention to immediate problems, making long-term planning harder. Decision fatigue makes it easy to miss better opportunities or fall for quick-fix solutions. These aren't character flaws, they're predictable responses to living under constant strain, and they help explain behaviors often misunderstood by outsiders. Even well-intentioned programs can create cliffs, small increases in income that suddenly strip away benefits like housing aid or healthcare can discourage advancement. Tax policies often favor wealth accumulation at the top, while providing less help for people trying to build savings. The rules of the system sometimes reward staying in a precarious state rather than climbing out. Later, I'll show a few policy changes that avoid these traps.